You will get the problems that are related to arrays. Okay, and some of you have no idea because we haven't covered this topic during our lecture session, that what is an array, how to represent array in Java programming language. So that is why first of all I'm going to cover this topic, that is an array. Okay, so in this topic, first of all, what we are going to cover, that is what is an array, why to use array, what are the advantages and limitations, declaring an array, array construction types, single and your multi-dimension. Okay, so all these whatever the problems you will get in your today's lab, that are basically related to your single dimensional array as well as your multi-dimensional array. Okay, so let's start with the first slide. What do you mean by array? So an array is a collection of element of similar data type. So this is very important, that whenever we are creating an array, okay, so you already know that what do you mean by data type. So data types, we already know that we have different kinds of data types like integer, float, byte, double, right? So all these are what our data types. So whenever we are creating an array, so either if we are creating an array of integer data type, so it's not like that over in that particular array, we can add some floating point values. If we are creating an array of character data type, we cannot enter, you can say that any integer data value like that. Okay. So the array, if we are creating an array of some particular data type, then it means that array should contain only that particular data type values, right? So for if we are most of the times we are going to create an array of integer data type, so we can enter only integer data type value. So that is the advantage as well as limitations of what your what we call it as your an array. Okay, so always remember that an array is a collection of elements. So what we are doing right now, we are not collecting any elements. Right now, if I'm going to ask you, okay, int a equals to 10, yes. So can we enter multiple elements in this variable value a? No, we cannot enter. But with the help of, but because there are many multiple dimensions as well as multiple applications where we need to enter some multiple elements associated with that particular variable. So how can we do it? So using with the help of array, we are able to achieve this goal. Okay. So second thing is that the size, the length of array is fixed. It cannot be changed after defining. So suppose if you have defined the size of an array, so later on you cannot change the size of an array. Okay, if you have already defined the size of an array. Third point is the size of an array must be specified by an integer value. Okay, so I will show you what if we are going to define 1.5. It's not like that the size of your array is 3.5. The size of array should be in your integer value. Like the size I want is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. It's not like that I will say that, okay, the size of my array is 5.5. No. Okay, remember this point. Now the first element of an array starts with index 0. So whenever we are creating an array and you know that, suppose let's assume the size of an array is 6. So always remember that the size of an array will start from 0. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the indexing of an array of size 6, right? Now an array of an element is accessed by its respective index. So if you want to access some array, so if I want to access the particular location, so I will use that particular indexing. Okay, so let's assume the first location of an array is what? 0. The second, so whenever we are creating an array, always keep in your mind is that always try to use the logic on the basis of indexing. Don't use the logic on the basis what we are storing, because sometimes you will see that you will get the question and you will get confused. Okay, like how we are going to solve that particular location, we are not getting the logic on the basis of what we are storing. Then at that moment of time, like in some competition, if you are solving the codes in your hacker rank or anything, like in any competition of code chapter, so you will see that you are not able to solve because you are not able to find out the logic, like what values you are storing. So at that time always try to find out the logic on the basis of your indexing values, how you are storing your values, right? Now, Java array can also be used as a static field, so we can use it with your static field, your local variable, or a method parameter. So it's not like that we can use a local array for some having means you we cannot use it for like in the case of your method parameter. So you know that what do you mean by method parameter? So whenever if we are passing like right. So the first example you can see it over there. Whenever we are writing public static void main string args. So what we are passing? We are passing an array of which data type? Your string array. So you already know that, okay, here what we are doing, we are passing an argument. So this is the first thing which we have seen. Okay, so right now we don't have any idea. Some of the students generally ask me, sir, can we write this syntax over here? Sometimes in some book they have written this syntax like this. Okay, so in today's lecture we are going to discuss about this thing. So there are multiple or different ways of representing an array, right? Let's start. So see, this is an array. So this is the memory representation of an array. So right, like if I'm going to tell you, okay, your array, the total length of your array is 6. Okay. So as I told you that always remember, this is very important point. Those who have no idea about array, I'm just telling you because sometimes otherwise their entire logic, they are not able to achieve the right output, and that is the main reason why you are not going to achieve your correct output is that your array always starts from 0. It always starts from 0 indexing, okay, not 1. So that is why here the total I have created an array and the size of array is 6. So you can see directly that okay, 0 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, why 5? Because we are starting from 0. So that is why here that I have created an array of size 6. So this is how basically now I am storing my value. I have created, let's assume, an array of your integer data type. So it means I can enter only integer data type value. It's not like that I can enter string data value. Okay, like this. So first index is your 0 and your last index is your 5. Always remember this point in your mind. Right now. So why to use array? So this is your question. This is the question I think most whenever you are learning any new topic. So always try to find out that why we are learning this topic. Okay, it's not like that in the book or in the PPTs I have mentioned this topic. So we have to learn. No, you have to even find out the reason why we are using this array. So the answer that suppose I want to store one integer value. So how you are going to store? You will write, okay, sir, I will just directly write integer x is equals to 1. So you have created one variable for that, right? It's okay. Now, if I'm going to ask you, okay, can you please create me and I want to create two integer value. So you will create int x1 and your x2. So now you have created two values. Suppose I want to say that, okay, you have to create 1000 integer values. And suppose I want, here I am predefining these values. Let's assume I will ask you, okay, enter these values during runtime. So how many lines of code you have to write? You have to write thousands lines of code, right? So you have to write 1000 lines of code. And still one more thing is that these variables are not at all related to each other. Sometimes if you have missed some of the reading like x2 and after that you forget and you forget to write x3 variable and you just skipped and just write it down x4. So because we can make some sort of mistakes like that. So how to tackle these situations? Okay, so that is why they have introduced, like Java team, they have introduced that okay, we are going to incorporate this concept of an array in our programming language, and that is why hence the readability of the code becomes down, because you can see over there we are writing 1000 times we are writing this thing, because 1000 variables are required. And if we have 1 lakh variables, then 1 lakh values, then 1 lakh variables are required. So the solution of this problem is an array. See, using one line, we are able to achieve this issue. How we are achieving? See, I have created an array, and the array is of size what your 1000. Okay. So by using indexing, we can access the all value of an array. So now if I want to access the 1000th value, I can directly access. So if I'm going to ask you, okay, how can I access the 1000 value of an array? So I will find out using with the help of index. So as I told you, what will be the 1000 value? 1000 value will be stored in your indexing of 999. Why 999? Because I am going to start my array from 0. So 0 to 999, 999 will store my 1000 value, whatever the 1000 value I'm having, right? This is all about array. So always remember, if in any interview or in anyone in future, if somebody is going to ask you why we are going to use array, so you should know the answer. It's not like that you will say, okay, this is a concept, so that is why we are using it, and memory utilization is very high. Yeah, these concept memory utilization, somehow you might say that, okay, memory utilization is high, but he will say, okay, okay, let's assume that memory is not a big concern. Then how can you say that memory is why we are going to use an array? So you should know these examples. Okay. So if somebody is in future in any coding competition or in any interview, if somebody is going to ask you why we are using an array, so you should know this answer. Okay, right. So what are the advantages and limitations of an array? So here we are going to discuss about. So first, you know the definition of an array, that the array is indexed element of fixed number of homogeneous data element. Don't get confused with homogeneous. Homogeneous means the same. Okay. Heterogeneous means different. So homogeneous means, like, if, as I told you, if we have created an array of integer data types, so you can store only integer data type values. If you have created an array of floating data type values, so you can store only floating data type values like that. Okay. So there are several advantages, but the main advantage of an array is that we can represent multiple values under the same name. So we don't need to write different names. So see, here we have used only this variable name, and with the same variable name I will be able to access all these variables. Okay, I don't need to write x1, x2, x3 and so on like that. So I'm creating only one variable name, and using with the help of that I will be able to access all these values, right? Now what are the disadvantages of, or you can say that limitation of your array? So the first limitation of an array is that once we have created an array, okay, there is no chance of increasing or decreasing the size based on your requirement. So suppose if you want to make some further changes, so you cannot do that. Okay. So if we have created an array of size 1000, so it's not like that later on you will enter or you will say, okay, I will change the size of an array. No, it's not possible. Okay. Second point is, hence point of view of array is not recommended. So memory point of view of an array is not recommended. An array can hold only homogeneous data type. Let's assume you want to enter some different data type values, so it is not at all possible. If you have created an array, so it is mandatory for you to store only that data type values. Okay, so somehow in some scenarios it might become you can say that your limitation, right? So you have to use, or you have to choose, or you have to create an array very wisely. It's not like that, okay, I will just create an array, okay, this problem I will. So you have to first find out, okay, whether all the values are in the form of your that same particular data type values or not. If yes, then go for an array, right? Now, but we can resolve these issues using collection. So there is a topic collection using which we are able to, so in Java, because see, they know about these two issues. Which issues? Your that you have some array memory issue, as well as you have some homogeneous data type values. So in Java, they know that, okay, you might get these issues, you might get some limitations or related to these things. So how you are going to achieve it? So that is why they have introduced one more topic that is known as collection. So we are going to discuss later. Okay, what do you mean by collection? So through collections we are able to solve these two limitations, right? Now, So let's start with our programming point of view, that how we are going to declare an array. See, in Java, there are several ways to declare an array. Always remember. Okay, so let's start. So the first way is that, as I told you, that single dimensional array, two-dimensional array, three-dimensional array, and you can create n-dimensional array. It's up to you, right? So here in this case, how to create an array? So I will always try to use this one. Okay, so this is always recommended. So like as I told you, whenever I'm writing a string, this args, some student asked me, sir, why you are not writing? Can I write it like this? String args like this? Yes, you can write it. It's up to you. It is valid in Java. So see, there are multiple ways, but the most common your representation of an array in Java programming languages are these three. Okay, so you can use this syntax over there, you can write here, you can write it here. So all these threes are what you are this, the way you can represent an array. But always remember that this is the recommended one. Okay, just after this slide, after this, whenever I'm going to complete this entire lecture, then I will share you this slide so that you will have an overview of it. Okay, how we are going to declaring an array and all those things, right? So see, this is the recommended one, right? So similarly, we have two-dimensional array. So I'm going to tell you about what do you mean by single, what do you mean by two-dimensional. But I'm telling you, see, in two-dimensional, you are going to write two times brackets. Okay. So see, the representation is same, but the way it's up to you where you want to write. See, here I will write two, so it will become two-dimensional array. If I'm going to write three, then it will become three-dimensional array. If I'm going to write four, then it will become four-dimensional array. Okay. So it depends that how many brackets you are going to add. So based on that, it will tell us about, okay, how many dimensional array we have created, right? So now you have to tell me about which of the following are declaring, which of the following are valid declaration. Okay. So in this problem, what I have done, I have created, I have given you four choices. Okay. In the four choices, in the earlier case, which I have told you, I am creating only one array, one variable of that particular array data type, okay, of array of integer data type. But now the question which I am asking you is that here I am creating two variables, okay, of your integer array data type. So how can we declare? So there are four ways, okay, but out of which, or not all the ways are correct. Okay, so let's see what are the correct ones. So always remember, if I'm going to ask you, okay, you have to create two integer array. Okay, so how can you create? So this is the way you can create. So you just write integer. It means that I am creating a single dimensional array of two array. I'm creating A and B. So there is an array A, you can call it, and there is an array B. So two different arrays of integer data type I have created. Similarly, this syntax is again same, correct. Okay, generally I will advise you to always try to use this one. But I'm telling you, someone, if someone is basically representing or want to write like this, so again this is valid in Java. Again, this is valid in Java, right? But this representation is invalid. Always represent. Note if somebody is going to write this thing and this thing, if somebody is going to write, then it is invalid in Java. Okay, so always I will advise you to always try to use this first representation. It is always valid, otherwise you will get confused. Okay, so if you want to specify dimensions before the variable, it is possible only for the first variable. So I'm not going to discuss in the depth. So it's better that I will not make some sort of I don't want to increase the complexity, but I will advise you to always try to use this one. So this is the recommended one. Always try to use it if you want to create multiple variables of an array. So you can create like this. Okay. So here I have created two arrays of single dimension, right? So let's start. So array construction. Now we are going to start how we are going to create an array. So till now, you know that, okay, array, how we are declaring an array and all those things, but how we are going to create an array. So always remember that array is also a class. Somehow array is also a class and we are creating an object of an array. Always remember. Why we are, how can you say that that we are creating an object of an array? Because we are using a keyword that is new. So whenever we are creating, every array in Java is an object, hence we can create by using new operators. So it's not like that you can directly create. So whenever you want to create an array of some particular size, so see here we have just declare an array. Okay, that okay, we have created an array, but what is the size of an array? So for that, what we generally do, we create an object, and through this object, we will be able to find out, okay, so this A is basically, you can call it as that it is holding the address of an object. It is a reference variable which is holding the address of your of an object of an array, and the size of an array is what you're free, right? So after this, you can see that at the time of construction, compulsory, we should specify size, otherwise we will get compile time error. So if I'm going to see, if I'm going to write my first case, int a, so as I told you that we have created an array of integer data type, and what is the size of an array? We don't want to, means we don't want to enter the size of an array. So in that scenario, you will get a compilation error. Always remember. So what is the recommended one? That you have to specify the size of an array. So suppose if we are assigning some free size, so this is how we can basically assign the size of an array. Okay. So it is legal to have a size of an array 0, okay, in Java. Why it is 0 is in Java? Because you already know that it is possible, okay. But in Java, you cannot mention the size of an array in negative number, okay. So it's not like that. If in question, if I'm going to ask you, okay, whether this is valid or invalid, then you will say, sir, it is invalid. Why it is invalid? Because, sir, everything is fine. You have created an array, that is okay. You have created an object of an array, but the size of an array you have created is what, your -6, which is invalid. You cannot take negative. So that is why you will get a negative runtime exception. Okay. Now, to specify array size, allowed data types are byte, short, integer, and your character. Okay, so only these four data types are required in order to specify the size of an array. Always remember, you cannot enter floating point values, you cannot enter your double point values, you cannot enter string values. Okay, so these are the only valid data types which you can use to which is used to allow for your array size. So these are the only one, because you know that here you can use this thing. Also here you can use also char, because using char we can they generally convert it into ASCII values. So that is why char is also valid in your this case. Okay, always remember. Earlier I said okay, char is not allowed, so I made a mistake. No, in Java you can use a char too, okay, in order to tell like what will be the size of an array and all. But most I will advise you to, in most of the scenarios, it is recommended to use your integer data type. Okay, like this. See, this is the find out, we have, if we have to find out the valid array representation. So you can see over there, first what we have created an array of the size of an array is what we have created, an array of integer data type, new int a, and here we are storing the value that is a is what, my character. In the second one, I have just created, I think you already know that it is in, we have created a data type B. And after that, what we are doing, so this one is same, okay? So this is the same statement. So in the next statement, we have created an array, and now we are storing the value of B, means the size of an array is what, your B. Similarly, I have created an array of 10L, that is your long data type. And now the size of an array is what, your 10.5. So let's check what is the valid one. So here in this case, you can see over there what we have in these are the solutions. Okay. So to specify the array size, the allowed data types are byte, short, int, and your char. Okay. So it means that first one is valid. Why? Because character size is valid, byte is valid, okay? But always remember that long is not valid. Long as well as your this double, all these are invalid. So that is why you will get an error. Also, you can try it in your code is that what if we are going to take the size of an index is what 10L. So the maximum allowed array size in your Java programming language is this one. Okay, always remember that is the maximum value of your integer data type. So if somebody is going to ask you that, okay, how many, like what is the maximum size of array we can create, then you will say that the whatever the integer length we have. Okay, so based on that we can create the size of an array, and it will start from 0, right, like this. Now we are going to start with your array initialization. So see, in today's problem, if we are going to ask you like you have to create an array and you have to store some value. So see how you are going to create an array. First of all, if we are going to tell you, okay, you have to create an array of your integer data type. So you have to write int this a. This is what you need to write. It means that you have created an array of integer data type. And what is the size of an array? So that is why you have to write new. Please don't forget to write new, and you have to mention int3 over there. Okay, it means that in the memory, heap memory, what I have done, I have created an array, okay, of size 3, 0, 1, 2. Okay, this array. So this is the edge. So you know that the because we are storing in heap memory. So suppose there should be some address of this particular array. So this address we are storing in this variable that is known as a. Okay, so that is why if I'm going to print the value of a, so I will get this value. I will get this value. That value is known as your hash value, right? So we are able to store this hash value, and this is the hash value of this variable a. But if I'm going to write a0, so what it automatically I will able to access this index. If I'm going to print array of 1, I will integer. If I will get the value this. But the question that comes into your mind is, if I want to enter array 0, why I am getting the value 0? Why? Because as I told you that it will give us the default value. What is the default value of integer? The default value of integer is 0. So that is why you will get the output as 0. Okay. So this is all about. So if you are going to execute this code, so first of all, you should know how to create an array. What is the size of an array? Size of an array is we are going to create in the RHS side. Okay. If you are just print the value of a, then what will happen? You will get the address, memory address of that particular where we have stored our entire array. But if you want to access the value, so this is how basically you can access the value. A of bracket you have to use, and you have to enter 0. For 0 location, for 1, I will get the value 1. For 2, I will get the value 2. But if I'm going to write a of 3, then what will happen? I will get an error. What error what I will get? Because see, array of 3 is not there. So this a will search whether we have 3. No, we don't have 3. So it will give us an error that okay, we have exceeded the size of an array. Okay, right. So see, this is how basically. So first of all, what I told you that how to create an array. So till now you know that okay, this is the way basically we can create an array. Okay, so right now if somebody is going to ask you what is happening over there, so you will say that sir, we have created an array of integer data type, right? And the size of an array is 5. So you know about this thing. But right now we are not assigning any value. How we are going to assign this value? So there are two ways. So first we are going to discuss about the first way. So see, this is the first way you can assign the value. So what you do, you just write a of 0. In the a of 0, what I want to enter the values 2, 10. So what will happen? We have an array. Okay, in the memory, we will have an array, and the size of array is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, because we are going to start indexing from 0. So that is it. So this is what we have created. So initial value is what? 0. Why? Because we will get the default value of integer. So that is why initial or our entire array will contain the value 0, 0, 0, 0. Now if I'm going to execute a of 10, then what will happen? I will enter the value 10 over there. If I'm going to enter a of 1 is equals to 20, then I will get the value 20. If I'm going to enter the value a of 50, then what will happen? I will get an error. Why I will get an error? Because a of 50 is not there. So that is why we will get an error. If I am going to enter 10.5, again I will get an error. So always try to remember why I am giving you this example, so that you will understand that whatever the size of an array you are creating, okay, so you have that much index. You can use only those indexing, and you can use only indexing like in the form of your character, bit, byte, whatever the data type I have already mentioned earlier. Only those data type you can use. And always remember, second thing is that you cannot exceed the size of your array. So here what will happen? Even though this value is what integer, it is valid, but here the size of an array is 5, but we are assigning the values in a of 50. Do we have 50? No, we don't have 50. So that is why we will get an error. Okay, so here we will get a compile time error, and here we will get a runtime error. Always try to understand. And the question that comes into your mind is, sir, why we are getting a runtime error over here and why we are getting a compile time error over here? So always try to understand that here, according to our compiler, we cannot use other data type values. You can use integer, you can use byte, you can use short, you can use char. It is valid. So according to our compiler, double value, float value is invalid. So that is why my compiler will say, okay, it is invalid in Java. But during compilation time, when my compiler will check 50, then it will say, okay, it is valid because it is an integer value. So there is no syntactical error. Syntax wise, it is correct. But during runtime, when my Java, because we are creating object during runtime, right? So during runtime, whenever our JVM will check that, okay, do we have 50 memory location? No, we don't have. Then in that scenario, we will get a runtime. Okay, so always try to understand that when you will get runtime error and when you will get compile time. So see, this is the declaration. So if you want to use, you can write in multiple lines. So what I have done, I have created an array, and if I'm going to write like this, so it's fine. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. So see, I have created this thing. So here the size will be 4, right? I have made a mistake. Here the size will be what? 4. Otherwise, I will get an error over here, right? So like this. Here your size will be what? 4. So there is a different way too. So I told you that first way is what? You declare the size of an array. Okay, size of an array, and then you can assign the value. But you can see over there, sir, why we are writing this thing, and again we are writing, if you know all these values, why we are writing. But so what if we are having 1,000 values? So are we going to write all these values like this? So the solution of this problem is that you can write all these things in a single line. In a single line, you can write all these things. So how can you write? You can just declare the array. Okay, you just write an array. So right now you know that I have created an array. You don't need to mention the size. Use curly braces and just enter the value. Using this, what our compiler will understand that, okay, now you have created an array of size 4, and this is the indexing 0, 1, 2, 3, and these are the values you have created. So in the single line, if you want to write, so otherwise what will happen, we have to write these much line of code. So if you know the values, okay, so it's better. If you already know the values, so it's better to write in a single line. Okay, like this. So use curly braces, and then based on that, just enter the values, right? Now, so as I told you that we have two types of arrays. First one is single dimensional array. So right now, whatever the array we are discussing about, that array is a single dimensional array. So in today's problem, if I am going to ask you about, okay, you have to create an array. So first of all, of integer data type. So first of all, you just write int, then write this, then just write the variable, whatever the variable you are writing, then you can create new. Okay, and if you want to mention the size of an array, so what you do, you just mention it. Sorry, you just mention it int, and you just mentioned the size of an array 5 over there, right? So this is how basically you have to create, and if you want to assign the value, just write a of 0 is equals to 1. You can use looping, okay, whenever you are assigning the values. Don't need to, no need to write. So that is why we can use the concept of loop, using which we can basically solve this problem, this issue like that, okay. So now we are going to discuss about single and multi-dimensional. So this is an example of single dimensional array. Here I have created a name. Here I have created a class named as array. I have created public static void main. Now here, see what I have done. I have declared and I have initialized. Okay, that what will be the size or in instantiate. Instantiate means I have created an object of an array. That is the size of an array is what 5. You already know that here what I have done. I have created an array of integer data type. The size of an array is what 5. And now what we are doing, we are assigning the values. So a of 0 is equals to 5, a of 1 is equals to 10, a of 2 is equals to 15, 4, 5. If I am going to write a of 5, then what will happen? I will get an error because a of 5 is not there. Don't get confused with 5 size, okay? Because we are starting again from 0. Always remember this point. That's why I'm keeps on repeating this thing. Now if I'm going to write for I is equals to 0, I is a dot length. So length is a function, okay? Length, always remember, length is a function, length, length. So a length is a function in your Java programming language through which we are able to find out the length of an array. Let's assume we don't know the length of an array and we want to execute that loop. So what I will do, I will directly write this thing, I is equals to a dot length. Okay, so it will compute. So for this scenario, what is the length of an array? The length of an array is what, your 5. Okay, so the length of an array is what, your 5. Automatically it will return me this value, and here I am printing the value. So first what will happen, I is equals to 0, 0 is less than 5, condition is true. Then it will print a of 0. What is the value of a of 0? The value of a of 0 is 5, so I will get the output as 5. Then it will increment the value of I. Now my I will become what, 1. Now 1 is less than 5, condition is true. Then it will print a of 1. What is the value of a of 1? That is 10. Similarly, a of 2 it will print, a of 3 it will print. So that is why you will get the output 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, so on like that. After that, whenever your value will become 5, so 5 is less than 5, condition becomes false, so it will terminate your for loop, right? So this is how basically you can use and you can create your own arrays, right? Like this. So similarly, you can use, okay, it's not like that you have to mention the size of an array like this. So if you want to use the concept of scanner and you want to enter the size of an array during runtime, so yes, it is possible in Java. So here in this case, what I have done, I have created an what we call it as a variable named as length. Okay. Now after that, what I have done, I have created an object of your scanner. Now I am asking that enter the length of an array. So what we are doing, I am basically writing the length is equals to s dot next int. Suppose I am passing 10 over there. Okay, the value of the size I wanted to create an array is what, 10. So what you can do, you can directly create it like this. You know that how to create an array. So I have created an array new int and I am going to write length over there. So what is the value of length? Whatever the value we are assigning during runtime, okay, during runtime, whatever the value we are assigning. So if we are going to print it, if we are going to enter some values, see here what we are doing, we are entering these values during runtime. So I'm just writing a of 0, a of 1, a of 2, a of 3, a of 4, a of 5, a of 6, a of 7, a of 8, a of 9. So for all these things, what I am doing, I am just entering the values of these things during runtime, right? And similarly, if I want to print this value, so I can print this values like that. So if you want to access or assign these values, always try to use this indexing, okay, I, and keeps on changing the value of I. If array of 0, so it will tell us the value. If we are writing this thing, it means we are accessing the value part of this array of which indexing? Your zero index, right? So see, if we are writing whatever the value we are writing, so this is up to us, that how many elements, what is the size of an array, and whatever the elements we want, like this. So at creating an array of objects, so you can also create an array of an object too in Java programming language. So what you can do, what we are doing here in this question is that you know that we have created an array. So after that we have used these two instance variable. Okay. Now what I have done, I have created a method, and this method, sorry, this is not a method. This is your what we call it as your constructor. Why it is a constructor? Because as you do already know that this is a method which is having the same class name, but it is not returning any value. So it is an argumented constructor which is taking two values, that is your identity and your full name. And after that, inside this thing, what we have done, we have created an array. Okay, we have created an array of which data type? Of your array data type. So earlier we are creating an array of integer data type, float data type, string data type, like this. Similarly, you can also create an array of your class data type. Okay, so here what I have done, I have created an array of my own class data type, that is what your array. Okay, so this is possible in Java. Okay, so here I have created an array of my own class, and after that you already know that I have assigned this value. So I can assign only some integer, character, double, sorry, short, as well as these values. And after that, what I'm doing, I'm assigning this value. So in this, in our what we call it as in our array, you can see over there we can enter how many values? We can enter two values. See, we can. So each, you can call it as each array position, like each array is basically referencing each object over here. See, new array one. Array one is one, is our class. So we are creating an object of our class and we are calling this constructor. Okay. So automatically we will get the value 101 Tanuj. So array 0 is basically accessing our object 1. Array 2, array 0, array of 0 is accessing my first object. Array of 1 is accessing my object 2. So yes, it is possible in Java, through which what you can do, you can directly access the object. So if you want to create an array of an object, so yes, it is possible in your Java programming language. But in today's lab, I don't think so that you will get the problems related to that. Okay, but it is possible in Java. Now, so this is if you are going to execute this code. So see what you will get here. I am printing my array dot id. So first case, what will happen? My underscore array dot 0. So in 0, it will go into my first object, and in first object it will search for id. What is the value of id? 101. So that is why I will get 101. Again, it will go into the first object, because 0, my array 0 is storing what? Holding the address of what? Your first object. Okay, it is holding the address of first object. Okay, so that is why I will get, if I'm going to write dot name, so it will print the value Tanuj over there, and so on. Okay. So this is how basically passing an array to a method. So as I told you that you can also create a method which is passing an array. So here what I have done, I have created an array and I have created a method. See what this method is, max method. You already know that how to create a method, but see this method is taking which argument? Your array argument. So we are passing an array with the help of this argument. So yes, it is valid in Java. So we are passing an array of which data type? Your integer data type. So how can we pass this array? So for this thing, first of all, what we will do, we will go for public static void main. I have created an array, and this is an array. Okay, and the size of an array is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6. So you, as I told you that if you want to create an array in single line, so yes, it is possible in Java. So this is how we have created an array, and this entire array we have passed in this what method. So this method will return this array. So it means now this array is referencing what? An array of this thing. Okay, an array of this, your 45, 87, 67. After this, what we are doing, we are just assigning this value. Max is equals to array of size 0. So whatever the value we have, and based on that, what we are doing, we are using the loop, and we are able to find out, okay, what is the maximum value of this thing. So if we are going to execute this code, so you know the how we are going to find out the maximum size. So we are going to compare, okay. So first of all, we are going to compare 45 with your 87. Which is greater? 87. So that is why now your max will become what? 87. Now we are going to compare 87 with your 76. Which is greater? Your 87. So we will make 87 as our maximum again. Then we will compare with 100. Which is greater? 100 is greater. Then we will remove 87 from max, and we will update the value max over there. So in max value, we are keeps on updating the value of an array, which is basically greater than this max value, right? Then only we will update, otherwise we don't update. So we will follow the entire loop, and the loop will go till the length size. So what is our length? So as I told you, the length of size is what? Your 6. So we are till less than 6 means because we are starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So this is all. Yes, any questions so far? Okay. So if you want to return, so see, this is how basically you can return. So you already know that. So it is possible in Java. Okay. So right, I think you already have an idea how we are going to return an array. Just write down return and just pass these values. So this is how you will be able to return some values if you want to return some values in a method. So similarly, we have multi-dimensional array. So in today's problem, you will get some problems related to that too, okay, where you have to create a multi-dimensional array. So how you are going to solve these problems? So first of all, see how to create a multi-dimensional array. So you just write down this thing. So there are different ways to represent. Okay, so if you want to represent like this, so yes, you can go for it. If you want to represent like this, so you can represent. So it's better. I will advise you what I told you, just write down this thing. So it will tell, okay, I have created multi-dimensional array. What is the size? What is the name of this variable? Suppose diamond is my name. Okay. And after that, what is the multi-dimensional array is what your new int 4, 5. Now, what do you mean by 4 and what do you mean by 5? So we are going to discuss over here. So see, whenever you are creating an array now, so in your Java, don't get confused if somebody knows about C or C++ programming language, but in Java, multi-dimensional arrays are stored like this. So how they are going to be stored, I will tell you. So if I'm going to create an array, see, I have created an array, and dimension of array is what your 3. It means that what I have done 3, 0. So it means that 3, this thing I have created, right? So 3 means I have created how many columns? 3 columns I have created. 1, 2, and 3 columns I have created. Now in these 3 columns, suppose let's assume in the first column, I want to create 2 more columns. So how can I create? I will, if I'm going to write A0 is equals to new int2, it means that you, in our 0 indexing, I want to create again 2 new columns. So that is why I have created 2 new columns. If I'm going to write A of 1 is equals to new int1, then it means that for this indexing, I'm creating only 1 indexing. If I'm going to write A2 is equals to new, so it means that this array is storing the address of this array. So array of an array, you can call it. Whenever we are creating multi-dimensional array, so multi-dimensional array, you can call it as your array of an array. Okay, but the advantages of this your multi-dimensional array is that you can basically. So if I'm going to ask you about, okay, so let's assume if I'm going to ask you about 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the values I have stored over here. So if I'm going to ask you about, okay, can you print the value of this one? So what you do, suppose this name of an array is A. So you will write A of, this is what 0. So these are the indexing, okay, 0, 1, 2, and you know that this is indexing 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 2. So how you are going to find out? You will write 0, comma, this one 0, comma 0. So if I'm going to print the value of 0, comma 0, so what I will do? I will get this value. If I'm going to write 0, this 1, then I will get this value. If I'm going to write down the value 1, comma 1, 1, comma 0, then I will get this value, right? So this is how you will be able to access the values of your multi-dimensional array. So generally, whenever we are writing this thing, so okay, write this thing if we have created, so it means that we have created how many rows or how many columns, so we will see on the basis of that, okay? So similarly, see in this example, what I have done, I have created a three-dimensional array where I have mentioned that, okay, first will have how many? 2. Now after that, second first will have how many? This 3, right? This, okay? Again, so three-dimensional means 3 levels will be there. How many levels will be there? 3 levels will be there. For two-dimensional, how many levels will be there? 2 levels will be there. For single-dimensional array, only 1 level will be there. We can directly access that particular level, right? So this is all. So see, in a multi-dimensional array, in your today's problem, how you are going to solve this problem? So first of all, you have to create a multi-dimensional array. So here in this question, I am directly assigning this value, okay? So as I told you, like in single dimensional array, you are writing 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4, comma 5, and I am basically writing like int this thing and a of this thing. So it means I have created an array of size 5, and I'm the values are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But in the case of your multi-dimensional array, how can you create this thing? So what you need to do, you need to write first of all this two-dimensional array we have created. And always remember, two-dimensional means there are 2 levels. So that is why I'm going to use one curly braces. One curly braces will tell us about my first level. Okay. So in the first level, what in the first row, what are the values? So that is why again I have to use curly braces. That is your 34, 87, and your 39. Right? These are these values. Again, I am going to close this. Okay. Again, I will use put comma, and this is my second row. This is my third row. So this is how basically you can create multi-dimensional array in your Java. So as you can see over there, here we have rows and columns. Okay. So if I'm going to ask you, okay, please print these values. So you already know that how we are going to use. We are going to use the loops, and using loops we are able to basically access these values. Okay. So we are going to execute. So if we are going to execute this loop, see, I value will become 0 in our first case. The value of j will become what? 0. So what is the value of 0, comma 0? 0, comma 0 is this one. So that is why I will get the value 34 over here. Similarly, in the next time, j value will increment. The value of j will become what? 1. What is the value of 0, comma 1? That is your 87. What is the value of 0, comma 2? That is what your 39. So I will get the value 39. Now, what is the value of 0? Are we able to go to 3? No, we are not able to 3. So we will terminate this loop. Then we will again, and here we have printed a new line. So I will go in the new line, right? Then after that, the value of I will become what? 1. And the value of j will become 0. Then again 1, comma 0. So here the value of 1, comma 0 is this one, right? So it will print the value 31 over there. Then 1, comma 1, it will print the value 65, then 12, then 27, then 64, then 29. So that is why if we are going to execute this code, so this is the output we will print. So we have printed that how many rows we will have. So you can see using this example, what we have understood so far is that we have created how many rows? 3 rows. 1 row, 2 row, and 3 rows. Right? 1 row, 2 row, and 3 rows. And how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right? Like this. So I don't want to create some sort of confusion. So I don't want to again go for. So similarly, what you can do, you can create multi-dimensional array like this. Okay. So see what I'm doing over here. I have created two multi-dimensional array over here. And the size of an array is what? First multidimensional array is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. This is my A, and for B I am having 2, 4, 6 and 8, 10, 12. Now I want to perform the addition of these two, what we call it as your array, multi-dimensional array, or we sometimes we call it as matrix. Okay, sometimes we call it as matrix. So if we are going to add one-to-one mapping, so how we are able to perform? So we are going to perform like this. So I want that 2 plus 1 will give me 3, 4 plus 3 will give me 7, 6 plus 5 will give me 11. So how 8 plus 7 will give me 15, 9 plus 10 will give me 19, 11 plus 12 will give me 23. So how I will get this output? So therefore this, the problem is quite simple. What I have done, I have created one more array C. This array will hold, what it will hold? It will hold the summation. Okay, it will hold the summation of this value. And after this what we are doing, we have used this loop which will hold the value of your rows and columns. And after that what we are doing, we are just performing the summation. So you know that the value of initial value of I will become 0, j will become 0, here again 0, 0, here 0, 0. So what is the value of 0, 0, a00? 1. I will get the value 1 over there. Plus, what is the value of b00? I will get the value 2 over here. And where I am storing? c00. So what is the summation? 3. So 3 value I am storing where? Over here in my c value, right? And then I am basically printing the value 2. The value. So that is why I will get the value 3 over there. Then again the value will become what? 0, 1. Okay, it will become 1. And then you will print 4 plus 3 and you will get the output 7 over there. Then again it will go 11 over there, right? Then after that the value of j will terminate because the size of an array is what you're to. So we are executing till less than 3. Okay, so automatically it will terminate. Then we are printing new line, so automatically we will go into our new line. And then again it will go through. Again the I value is what? 0. Okay, sorry, 1. Now the value of I will become 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, and again it will print the value like this. 7 plus 8 will give me 15, then 10, then 12. So this is how you will get this output, right? So this is all about your multi-dimensional array. So how you are able to basically represent a multi-dimensional array in Java programming language, right? So if I'm going to ask you, okay, you have two matrices, okay, and you have to perform the multiplication of these two matrices. So how you are going to do it? First, you are going to store these values, okay. First, you are going to store these values over there, and then later on, what you are going to do? You have to perform what? Multiplication on of those things. So this is how basically you will perform the multiplication of your two matrices, right? Instead of your addition, just try to perform multiplication. I'm not talking about the exact multiplication. I'm talking about one-to-one multiplication. Okay, 2 into 1, 4 into 3, like that. So always try to understand the length of an array. Please don't use a dot length. Okay, like this, you will get a compile time error. So for length method, always try to use dot length only. Don't use these braces, okay, whenever you are using or accessing these methods. So that is why you will get the output 10 over there if suppose the size of an array is 10. Okay, so this is all about our today's problem. So if anyone is having any doubt, just let me know. Yes, any doubt so far? Okay, I know like somehow some of you are getting confused, because no issue, but if you are going to start solving all these problems, I'm 100% sure that you will be able to understand all these concepts. So I've already activated the problems. Let me discuss it so that you will understand how you are able to, how you have to solve these problems. Okay, so let's start, and let's start that how you are going to solve these problems, right? So let's start. I can see that some of you have already started. That's great. But those who don't have any idea, don't get confused. Okay, how you are going to solve these problems, I will tell you one by one, so that you will have a better understanding. So see, in our first program, what we are asking is that write a program to take n elements in an array, okay, and print the array. So what we are asking for n element in an array, okay. So whatever the n element, so n element means we are asking during runtime, okay. So during runtime we are asking for the values and we have to just print this array. So if means 5 means 5, the size of an array is 5, and after that we are entering the element 09876, and I want to print the value of this. So how I am going to solve this problem, I will tell you. Okay, don't get confused. So those who still have any doubt related to that, I will tell you how to solve this problem. Now, so first of all, what you do whenever we are creating a program, whenever we are creating a class, so the first thing what we need to do, we have to create a class name as class, whatever the name of that class you want. Suppose the name of that class is, let's assume, solution. Okay, now I have created a class. After this class, what I want to create a public static void main method, because you know that public static void main, and then I am going to write a string, right? See, this is here also what we are doing. We are creating an array. Don't get confused, okay? So sometimes students said ना कि ये जो braces रहते हैं, ये braces हम यहाँ भी तो लगा सकते हैं. So no need to worry, okay? So there are different ways of representation, but I always represented this representation. Also, if you want, you can also go for this representation. Now I have created public static void. Now according to our question, हमारे question में हम क्या मांग रहे हैं? What we are asking for? First of all, हम क्या बोल रहे हैं कि size of the array. And size of the array, अगर आप टेस्ट केसेस में देखोगे, if you will go through the first test case, हमने size of array क्या दे रखा है? 5 दे रखा है. It means we have to take this value during runtime. Okay, runtime हम value दे रहे हैं. It means we need to use the functionality of your scanner class. So whenever we will use this functionality of scanner class, तो ये scanner class कहाँ पर available है? So scanner class is always available inside your import java.util package. तो I've already covered, ये टॉपिक मैंने ऑलरेडी कवर्ड कर दिया है. तो ये कौन सा टाइप का है? ये आपका इम्प्लिसिट टाइप का है, राइट? क्योंकि मैं इंटायर पैकेज कर रहा हूँ. बट आपको लगता है कि डू यू नीड कि हमें पूरा पैकेज वो करना चाहिए? नो, इट्स बेटर टू डायरेक्टली access till your class. So we are importing only your this class, that is your scanner class. So this thing is again valid in Java, okay? And this type of package, what kind of packages we are importing? Explicit, okay, like this. Now I want to create an object of this thing. So how I will create? First I will create some reference variable sc, let's assume, and then I will create an object new scanner system.in. Now I have created an array. Sorry, now I have created this scanner. Using this scanner, I will be able to call all these methods. Okay. Now what I will do, I will take int suppose size. What is the size of an array? The size of the array I am asking during runtime. Okay. So that is why I am going to write sc dot next int. सपोज हमारे फर्स्ट केस में हम क्या वैल्यू पास कर रहे हैं? 5 कर रहे हैं. सो ऑटोमेटिकली 5 आ जाएगी और 5 कहाँ स्टोर होगी? आपकी यहाँ पर स्टोर होगी, राइट? नाउ बेसिकली हम ये वैल्यू का हेल्प कर कहाँ पर है? बेसिकली ये वैल्यू से हम क्या कर रहे हैं? व्हाट वी आर डूइंग, वी आर क्रिएटिंग एन एरे. अभी तक हमने एरे बनाया नहीं, वी हैवंट क्रिएटेड एनी एरे. So now what we are going to do, हमें एक integer array बनाना है, because as you can see over there, we are storing all these integer values over here. So that is why we will create an array. So how to create an array? See, सबसे पहले मैं int लिखूंगा. Then I am going to use these two braces. Means I have created an array. What is the size, name of an array? Whatever array. Suppose मैं एक array name दे देता हूँ. Suppose ARR मैं name दे देता हूँ, right? ARR is the name of an array. And what is the size of an array? New. Right? मैंने new दे दिया है यहाँ पर. What is the size of an array? So int size of an array, ये बेसिकली जो भी हम ये साइज वेरिएबल यूज कर रहे हैं, राइट? सो अब मैंने क्या कर दिया, यहाँ पर एक एरे बना दिया. It means that now I have created an array of this size, right? अब मैंने एक ये array बना दिया. Now after this you can see over there हम क्या कर रहे हैं, यहाँ पर हम values pass कर रहे हैं. What we are doing over there? We are passing these values. We are passing these values. So again ये values भी तो हमें run time पर ही मिल रही हैं, right? So that is why what we are going to do, we are going to use this loop that is known as for loop. Because हम या तो मैं ऑटोमेटिकली मुझे या तो साइज पता हो, अभी हमें साइज पता नहीं है तो मैं इतने टाइम में असाइन नहीं कर सकता हूँ वैल्यूज, राइट? सो दैट इज व्हाई मैं क्या करूंगा, बिकॉज दिस इज अ रन टाइम थिंग, सो व्हाट आई विल डू, आई विल क्रिएट अ लूप एंड द लूप विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम int I is equals to 0. ये 0 से आपका स्टार्ट होगा and till I is less than size of an array. That is why I have written size, because आपको पता है साइज अगर 5 है तो इंडेक्सिंग कहां से स्टार्ट होगी, 0 से स्टार्ट होगी, राइट? तो मैंने इसको खाली लेस देन तभी किया हुआ है, दैट इज द रीजन. नाउ आफ्टर दैट आई वांट टू इंक्रीमेंट द वैल्यू I प्लस प्लस एंड लाइक दिस. ओके, नाउ आई हैव क्रिएटेड एन एरे. अब मैं इस एरे में क्या कर रहा हूँ, बेसिकली अगेन रन टाइम वैल्यूज असाइन कर रहा हूँ एरे में. तो हाउ कैन आई असाइन, मैं क्या करूंगा, एरे, अब इस वैल्यू एरे ऑफ I, इट मींस अगर फर्स्ट इंडेक्सिंग होगी तो क्या आएगा, एरे ऑफ 0 आएगा. 0 में मैं क्या वैल्यू असाइन कर रहा हूँ, sc डॉट नेक्स्ट int, राइट? सो इट मींस दैट कि मैंने क्या कर दिया, अपना फर्स्ट एरे यहाँ पर असाइन कर दिया, फर्स्ट वैल्यू यहाँ पर क्या करती है, मैंने असाइन कर दिया. सो दैट इज व्हाई अब मेरा फर्स्ट हो गया 2, सेकंड हो गया, थर्ड हो गया, फोर्थ हो गया, फिफ्थ हो गया. तो जैसे ही ये साइज यहाँ पर ये वाली कंडीशन फॉल्स होगी तो इतनी वैल्यूज हम क्या करेंगे, एरे में एंटर करेंगे. नाउ अब हमने क्या कर दिया, एरे में वैल्यूज भी एंटर कर दिए. नाउ व्हाट विल बी आवर नेक्स्ट टास्क, हमारा टास्क है वो जो वैल्यूज है उनको प्रिंट भी तो कराना है. बट यू कैन सी ओवर देयर हमने यहाँ पर क्या बोल रखा है, वी आर ऑल्सो आस्किंग फॉर दिस मैसेज. वी आर आस्किंग कि तुम्हें ये वाला मैसेज भी प्रिंट कराना है, देन यू हैव टू प्रिंट द साइज ऑफ एन एरे. So how you are able to do it? Again, you can write it down directly, system dot out dot println. Println is used for new line, okay? और मैं यहाँ पर ये वाला मैसेज यहाँ पर एंटर कर देता हूँ, राइट? अब मुझे क्या करनी है, ये वैल्यूज प्रिंट करनी है. तो प्रिंट करने के लिए क्या करूंगा, फिर से मैं ये वाला लूप यूज करूंगा, राइट? सो दैट आई विल बी एबल टू एक्सेस ऑल दीज वैल्यूज. फिर मैंने I equals to 0 to size किया, but now here I am not assigning this value. Here what I am doing, I am printing the values, whatever the values we have stored. तो मैं क्या करूंगा, ये फिर से मैं करूंगा system.out.println, जो हमारा system.out.println है, और उसके बाद ये जो वैल्यूज है, राइट? अब मैं इसको क्या करूंगा, खाली प्रिंट कराऊंगा, and I am going to terminate this loop. So see in this program what I have done, मैंने सबसे पहले एक स्कैनर क्लास से स्कैनर करा, वो आपको पता ही है ऑलरेडी. टिल नाउ फिर मैंने साइज ऑफ एन एरे क्या होना चाहिए, वो मैंने साइज वेरिएबल में स्टोर किया. देन उसके बाद आई हैव क्रिएटेड एन एरे, एंड व्हाट इज द साइज ऑफ एन एरे, जो भी हमारा रन टाइम पर आएगा, राइट? देन आफ्टर दैट आई हैव असाइंड दिस वैल्यू. मैंने असाइन कैसे करी, यूजिंग विद द हेल्प ऑफ फॉर लूप, बिकॉज आई डोंट नो दैट व्हाट इज द साइज ऑफ एन एरे, दैट इज व्हाई आई हैव यूज्ड, बिकॉज अकॉर्डिंगली हमारे पास उतनी वैल्यूज भी आएंगी हमारी जो हम रन टाइम पे पास कर रहे हैं, राइट? एंड देन आफ्टर दैट मुझे ये मैसेज भी डिस्प्ले कराना था, दैट्स व्हाई आई हैव रिटन दिस लाइन, एंड देन लेटर ऑन व्हाट आई हैव डन, आई हैव जस्ट एग्जीक्यूटेड दिस लाइन. सो दैट इज व्हाई, लेट्स सी, आई एम नॉट श्योर वेदर आई विल गेट द आउटपुट और अभी भी कोई एरर आ रहा है. लेट्स एग्जीक्यूट दिस कोड. सो अगेन आई एम गेटिंग मींस सम इशू इज विद दिस वन. यहाँ पर आई थिंक ये स्पेस भी है, दैट इज व्हाई आई एम गेटिंग एन एरर. सो अब मैं मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा यहाँ पर, इसको इसके बाद ये आपका स्पेस भी है, राइट? सो नाउ इफ आई एम गोइंग टू एग्जीक्यूट दिस कोड, इट्स वर्किंग फाइन. बट हियर वी हैव टू टेस्ट केसेस, राइट? सो लेट्स टेक फॉर टू टेस्ट केसेस. सो बोथ द टेस्ट केसेस आर एग्जीक्यूटिंग फाइन, सो इट मींस माय कोड इज करेक्ट, राइट? सो सी दूसरे में 10 थे, राइट? और 10 वैल्यूज यहाँ पर एंटर करे थे. अगर हमने फॉर लूप्स नहीं लगाया होता ना, सो इशू क्या आता, हमें तो पता ही नहीं है कि कितनी वैल्यूज हम यहाँ पर एंटर कर रहे हैं, साइज क्या है और कितनी वैल्यूज कर रहे हैं. चलो फर्स्ट वाले केस में अगर आपको 5 पता है, 5 तो आप खुद से असाइन भी कर दोगे, राइट? बट सेकंड केस को कैसे एग्जीक्यूट करोगे, तो वो वाला तुम्हारे लिए क्या हो जाता है, इशू हो जाता है। दैट इज व्हाई यू आर। सो अभी तक किसी को कोई क्वेश्चन है? इफ एनीवन इज हैविंग एनी डाउट, ही और शी कैन डायरेक्टली आस्क मी। यस, एनीवन, एनीवन इज हैविंग एनी डाउट? Okay, otherwise try to solve other problems, and if you are facing any difficulty, I am here. Please don't hesitate to ask any question if you have any. Okay. See, whenever you are learning new topic now, automatically वो एक human tendency होती है कि आपको वो चीज में interest नहीं आता है, right? But whenever you are able to execute your code, and whenever you will understand each and every concept, now gradually you will understand, okay, this concept is very easy, and automatically आपका interest भी generate हो जाता है। सो फर्स्ट स्टेप को प्लीज कभी भी फर्स्ट स्टेप को ऐसे मत लो, अरे यार मुझे समझ में नहीं है, आई विल जस्ट फॉरगेट इट। ऑलवेज फर्स्ट स्टेप में ही आपको सबसे ज्यादा हार्ड वर्क करना पड़ता है। अगर आपको ये वाला फर्स्ट प्रोग्राम ही अगर आपको अच्छे से समझ में आ गया, इफ यू आर एबल टू राइट दिस कोड बाय योर ओन, देन आई एम 100% श्योर। ऐसा नहीं है कि आप खाली कोड लिख रहे हो और आपको पता नहीं है लॉजिक क्या है। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जस्ट बिल्ड योर लॉजिक कि अच्छा हमें प्रोग्राम लिखना है जिसमें एलिमेंट्स हैं और ये चीज हो रही है। और टेस्ट केसेस भी देखो, ऑलवेज ट्राई टू check the test cases what we are asking for, or in the expected output what we are looking for. Yes, so उसके basis में आप क्या करो, execute करो। So just try to execute all these codes, and whenever if you are facing any difficulty, just let me know. Problems are quite simple. See, second problem में भी आपको क्या है, same code है, बस यहाँ पर आपका क्या लॉजिक है, आपको ये रिवर्स ऑर्डर में। सो रिवर्स ऑर्डर में कैसे करोगे? इट्स क्वाइट सिंपल। आप क्या करोगे, लूप बैकवर्ड से स्टार्ट करोगे। अभी तक आप 1 to फॉर एग्जाम्पल 5 है आपका, ठीक है, आपकी इंडेक्सिंग कहाँ से स्टार्ट होती है, 0 से स्टार्ट होती है। आप इंडेक्सिंग लास्ट इंडेक्सिंग से स्टार्ट करो ना। तो अगर हम लास्ट इंडेक्सिंग से स्टार्ट करेंगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली हम लास्ट फिर माइनस माइनस, तो लूप आपको डिक्रीमेंटल वे से मैं इसको एग्जीक्यूट करना है। तो सिमिलरली अगर आप और भी प्रॉब्लम्स देखेंगे, प्रॉब्लम्स आर क्वाइट सिंपल, नॉट दैट मच कॉम्प्लेक्स। ओके, so but still if you are having any doubt whenever you are solving the issues, just let me know, please don't hesitate.